In other news, the Ghana Maritime Authority, in collaboration with the Western Naval Command and Marine Police, have arrested 8 persons suspected to have been engaged in illegal bunkering. The arrest was made during a routine patrol on the sea to check activities of the Takoradi area. The 8 are currently in the custody of the Ghana Marine Police, while the wooden boats called Midday is at the anchorage at the Western Naval Command. Inathalia Kwanzaa reports.
Wooden boats with a capacity of about 55,000 to 60,000 tons of oil was arrested Wednesday morning due to suspected illegal bunkering activities. The growing activities of these illegal boats, locally called Midday, is becoming a menace in the Takoradi area. Disguised as fishing boats, these massive wooden vessels with a storage capacity of tens of thousands of liters go to the high seas, mostly at night, where criminal tankers ship dock. Tons of fuel is pumped from the tankers into these wooden boats, which sail to different beaches and discharge their contents into waiting road fuel tankers like this on the blind side of tax and regulatory authorities. The head of the Ghana Maritime Authority at Takoradi is Captain William Thompson.
Early hours of this morning, just when we were running up our joint patrol team. Joint patrol team means Ghana Navy and then Marine Police and then GMA. We accosted, our boat accosted 8 people on this wooden boat that we normally call Midday, and it was nearly full with oil products. There are several dangers that are concerned in this thing. These boats are used for smuggling. They are not registered in any form, so it means we cannot even account for them. The product there definitely is stolen from somewhere. So the question is, where was it stolen from? Is it applicable for is it suitable for our local market? That's a question. If it is not, it means that it ends up in the pump stations, in your car and my car, and then they get destroyed. And we are talking about the environment as well, because they are not properly registered and they are in a hurry just to make their money. They don't take any precautions, and then they end up messing up our environment. And illegal oil bunkering, I cannot give you an exact figure, but there are several. Only last week there was one, and I believe that earlier in this month there was another one. Last month we had like 4 other cases. They are all pending, and then the Marine Police is in charge, and people have been tried. I think you would not be far from the truth if you say since March we've had about 6 years, because definitely there are 4 that I can clearly recall. Plus this one is 5, and then maybe I could miss out 1 or 2. Yeah, so you're not far from the truth.
Director Marine Police ACP Seidu Idis Lancer says the 8 will soon be arraigned before the court for the appropriate sanction.
At the same time, 8 persons that were operating it are at the Marine Police offices undergoing investigation. Yeah, their statements are being taken, and we will get to the whole bottom of it. But the exhibit is here. It talks for itself. This is an illegal activity that is being undertaken in our waters. Apart from the environmental aspect, they are also dodging the payment of duties.
Meanwhile, the GMA and Marine Police have handed over the oil to the National Petroleum Authority to check the quality of the oil, and the Ghana Revenue Authority to check the revenue lost to the country. For JoyNews, Inathalia Kwanzaa, Western Region.
Let's go to Parliament now, because the minority there is demanding the immediate withdrawal of a directive from the Ghana Revenue Authority. The authority to the ECG has directed the ECG to charge up to 18.1% tax on electricity tariff, noting it will impoverish Ghanaians. Minority spokesperson on energy, Adam Mutawakili, warns the move will bring hardship to consumers who are already burdened because of COVID-19. Joseph Opoku-Gatto is our man in Parliament, and he joins me via Zoom. Joseph, tell us about this circular put out there by the minority. What exactly does it say?
So the minority spokesperson on Mines and Energy, Adam Mutawakili, is pointing to a circular dated the 4th of May from the Ghana Revenue Authority, and it comes under the heading Value Added Tax Get Fund Levy, as well as NHIL levy on energy and capacity charges. Just to quote a few paragraphs of this circular that Adam Mutawakili says is coming from the Office of the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority. It says that it has come to the notice of the GRA that some electricity producing and power supply companies do charge VAT, Get Fund, and NHIL at zero rate to the Electricity Company of Ghana, and that this is contrary to the Value Added Tax 2013 regulation. And he goes on to point out that when you look at the background, the GRA has found that back in 2001, that's the 13th of March 2001, there's a letter purported to have been an agreement between the erstwhile VAT Service and the ECG, which provided that even with regards to the charging of electricity tariff and all, for residential consumers, they should zero rate this said input tax. And it's been the case since 2001. Now, the new circular makes the point that electricity and power is taxable, and that this is clearly defined in the Act, which establishes the ECG and other such power producers. And so, despite the said agreement that was reached back in 2001, the document says that going forward, the power producers and ECG should charge the 12.5% value-added tax, as well as the 2.5 Get Fund levy and the 2.5 NHIL when it comes to the power that has been produced. And for Adam Mutawakili, when you calculate this cumulatively, it doesn't add up to the specific 17.5. It adds up to like 18.1%. And what this means is that this said amount will be transferred directly to consumers, and they will end up paying more for electricity, which he says is a worrying development, and that President Akufo-Addo should behave as his successors, former President Kufuor, Professor Mills, and John Mahama did, and continue to make the said provision of electricity a non-taxable commodity as far as residential consumers are concerned.
Does this circular, which the minority referred to, indicate when the ECG is supposed to effect this tax?
And so just to quote the final paragraph of it, the second to last paragraph, it says, we hereby direct that all electricity and power producing companies are required to apply the Get Fund levy, the NHIL, as well as the VAT on the value of the supplies. It doesn't give a specific date when they should take effect, but the document itself is dated 4th of May. And for the minority MPs who are raising the issue, this is likely to take effect immediately, and the chances are that any time from now, when consumers go to buy their electricity, once the ECG has gone ahead to recalibrate their systems, the charges will begin to apply.
That is very interesting, and I wonder how that is going to affect the current relief that we are enjoying, the 50% COVID relief, so to speak, announced by the president. But just before you go, Joseph, tell us about what the minority spokesperson has been talking about in terms of presidential intervention.
And so with regards to how this would end up affecting the COVID relief, according to Adam Mutawakili, he sees it as a situation where the president is not showing that he's sensitive to the plight of Ghanaians. He thinks the president gave the said relief with the left hand, and he's ended up taking it with the right hand, meaning he doesn't exactly care about Ghanaians. And so he says as soon as possible, the president should intervene in the situation and direct a reversal of the directive that has actually gone out from the GRA to the Electricity Company of Ghana. And he says if that is not done, he wants to see Ghanaians speak out and voice their concerns. And for him, these times when companies are struggling and Ghanaians are in difficulties as a result of COVID-19 related lockdowns, it's not the time to impose such additional taxes on Ghana.
Joseph Opoku joined us from Parliament with an update from the minority on electricity charges. It's time to take a breather here on News Today. When we return, we'll bring you business and tell you about how business operators in Muslim communities are hit hard by the Eid festivities that has been suspended.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. Business operators in Muslim communities in Kumasi have been badly hit by the suspension of this year's Eid al-Fitr festival due to COVID-19. Dealers in clothing and cosmetics are recording virtually no sales in an otherwise windfall season. Nanas and Sumensa visited some commercial hubs and service centers and filed this report.
In this holy month of Ramadan, our Muslim brothers and sisters are having to pray at home instead of congregating at the mosque and foregoing the public celebration of the Eid.
So it's left with some few days for the holy month of Ramadan to end. That is for our Muslim brothers and sisters to end their fasting. On a normal day, businesses within the Muslim-dominated communities take their peak. But now the story is different. So we are here to speak with business owners and shop operators, especially those who sell Muslim clothing and cosmetics, how they are keeping their business afloat in the face of the COVID-19.
Here at Asawase, almost all the shops sell Muslim clothes and accessories. Operators normally expect businesses to peak for high sales in the last 10 days of the holy Ramadan month of fasting. As adherents count down to the end of the annual spiritual exercise, patrons are expected to troop in to buy their needs for the celebration. The story, however, is different and one of gloom this year. Ibrahim Abubakar is owner of this shop. He sells wrappers and fabrics. He represents a number of businesses that are hard hit by the pandemic.
Last previous weeks, we've been trying, like they are buying one, you understand? But when was that? Is it Sunday? The moment the president announced that we can't do the distance, Salah, so the distance has stopped. Nobody is coming for it again. Yeah, so that's the main problem right now.
Just across the street is a fashion designer shop. It employs over 20 designers who sew for hundreds of clients. These empty seats here are supposed to be occupied by designers who have been asked to stay home because of the drastic dip in sales.
My name is Hadi. I'm a fashion designer. So since morning, look, if it is last year, by now we are sleeping inside the store because of the job. But this year, look at our store. It's empty. Nobody even carry their goods, even children. Their parents will come. All this one that you are seeing that we are doing is for those who can afford. You understand me? If not, nobody came. So we are suffering.
Now, e-commerce firm Jumia has seen an increase in patronage of certain category of products such as PPEs and groceries during this period of the pandemic. Here's our Better BC's report.
During this COVID-19 pandemic, it has become very necessary to limit public gathering. And I'm here at the Jumia office to find out if people are making good use of the online platform. Let's go and speak to the Chief Executive Officer, Linda Owusu-Cherko, how people are taking advantage of the online platform.
According to Bloomberg, e-commerce companies have emerged as favorites during the coronavirus pandemic. Demands for some category of products have received high patronage online in recent times. According to the Chief Executive Officer of Jumia Ghana, Dinah Owusu-Chireko, on the scale of 1 to 10, purchase of products such as groceries and personal protective equipment have received major patronage.
We've seen interest peaks on certain categories, so hygiene, disinfectants. We've also seen an increase in things like masks and gloves and sanitizers, right? So those categories, we can sure say that there's a peaked interest in those. I would say on those particular categories that I mentioned, I would say the interest is quite high, right? So I would give it sort of like a 9 or 10 in terms of their buying habits.
She added, although the outbreak of this pandemic has affected imports of goods generally, but the level of delay is declining. She said customers have come to understand the situation and are coping with the current situation.
Of course, we've got a combination of international sellers and local sellers, and we're trying as best as possible to work with all of them to make sure, one, we support them, and two, we keep our own businesses going during this time. So I would say that the goods that we have coming from international, coming from abroad, all the delays have actually regulated, so we're now in good timeline. The sellers essentially list on Jumia what they have at the moment in their warehouses or in their offices. But I would say that all delays have started stabilizing.
I have been speaking to the Chief Executive Officer of Jumia Ghana, Linda Owusu-Chireko, and she tells me that there have been pickups in some categories of products that they have online. She talks about PPE, she talks about groceries, and she says that they are still going to continue to ensure that safety is being provided at the doorsteps of their customers. Alberta BCU reported for Joy Business.
And we've got more coming up at the top of the hour on the marketplace. Do stay tuned. Sports is up next.
Now, the personal assistant to the Minister for Youth and Sports, Kofi Asare-Brako, admits that money is owed to former Black Stars coach Kwesi Appiah, and the outfit is keen on paying him. Now, the Ministry of Youth and Sports and the GFA must cough up $185,000 for Appiah, whose contract was not renewed after last December. Kofi Asare-Brako explains why the money hasn't been paid yet.
Now, let me come here. For close to about 24 months, we've been constantly paying Kwesi Appiah for 24 months. His contract would have expired in April last year. April last year. But at the time, we were going to the Nations Cup. So ideally, any person in power at the time, at the FA, could have said that, okay, let me give you 3 months extension. Okay. That could have expired maybe after July, when the tournament is over. And if you're able to win the cup for Ghana, you are kept as the head coach. If you fail, then because there was a clause in the decision that you have to go and win the Nations Cup, you couldn't win. So it is up to those in power to say that you couldn't win. So we are parting ways with you. But in the circumstance, the contract was extended to December. And just believe that after the Nations Cup in July.
Well, that's it for your sports. I will be back at 2 p.m. to bring you sports today, and so let's look forward to that. We'll have more sports stories and more detail there. In the meantime, Joy News Today continues, and World News comes up next. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I have love for sport.